What's up, y'all? Hope you guys are doing well. It is Saturday the 15th, so Lover's Day was yesterday. Got a little rose. A kiss from a rose on the grave. So anyway, I am live right now, I think on Instagram as well, but I have no idea because Instagram Live is like super weird, and who knows if it works or not. But if you're live on Instagram, say what's up. I'm going to be streaming on the YouTube channel mainly. So if you guys want the full experience, go to YouTube, right? Because that's where I'm at as well. And today I'm kind of, I just got a new MacBook Pro. You know, it's like the maxed out M4 Max, you know, all that stuff. And I'm making content around it for you guys, right? So I have an M1 Max Mac Studio. And I'm upgrading from that because I want to be more mobile. I'm going to be traveling a lot more this year. So I'm going to be going to different studios around the country, etc. And doing more content with that, but also making more records in remote places. So if you guys are in a remote place and you want me to produce, mix, master your next project, let me know. Fly me out. Let's roll. But yeah, I'm going to be this is like the first time I've actually produced on the new MacBook M4 Max. So that's what I'm doing on this stream. I'm just going to see what breaks. You guys are here for the experience. But if you're here, say what's up. If you don't know who I am, that's cool. I'm Bradley Denniston. Been in music for 27, 28 years now. Been making a living with music for about 16 of those years. I've got a platinum record. I got Grammy nominated work, Oscar, Emmy, Golden Globe nominated work. I've won awards for music for commercials, TV shows, etc. I've done around $4 million in sync licensing for music. So in the fees, right? Upfront fees, AF of M, SAG-AFTRA fees, back-end publishing fees, etc. So yeah, I've just been doing it for quite a while. I mix and master a lot of records, worked on a lot of different stuff for a lot of different people, including my own music. So today I'm just going to dive into Logic Pro 11 because that's really my production DAW of choice. And we're just going to produce up something. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm also here to answer questions you guys got along the way. I'm just here to help, you know. I put up a lot of content. Every day I do at least one post across all platforms, just trying to help people out, you know. So if you guys get anything out of it, I really appreciate just the love, you know. Drop a comment, you know, hit a thumbs up so I can continue to do it. All right. And if you're on YouTube, you can support the channel by super chatting me if you get anything out of this stream or anything out of the content. It just helps me be able to make more content for you guys, do more of these live streams. Without the super chats and you guys really supporting the channel, it costs me a lot of money to make content. Okay. Just so you guys understand. I want to make that really clear because I don't think people get that. They're like, no, you make content and you make a bunch of money from it. Like, sure. All right. So every time I make a piece of content, I have to get an editor involved. I have to pay all these people to do all this stuff, right? So it ends up being about $250 out of my pocket, including the time, the energy, the resources, the cameras, the cards, the hard drives, the, you know, taking up the studio. Instead of working on client work and my projects, I'm working on shooting a video for you guys. So just have some respect for that. You know, people out here making content for you guys that are actually in the music industry. We take our time out to do this. This is not a career for us, right? Making content. So, you know, support the channel and we can do more live streams and shit, right? But let's go to Logic Pro here. See what we got. Let me do a little screen thing or whatever. I don't know how to do that on this computer yet. Here we go. Bada bam. Okay, no. Sorry, I'm still trying to figure out this whole vibe here. Okay, we'll go here, go Sony, screen. I'm gonna figure this out, I promise. I'm just trying to figure out how to put the other camera into the screen because it keeps kind of giving me this random camera that's black, of course. All right. I'm just going to try to get this going for you guys. Let me see here. But yeah, what's up? What's up? What's up? We got Teddy. What's up, man? That's what's up. Yeah, I'm trying, man. I'm trying to drop as much content as possible for you guys. I want you guys to like really get all the stuff that took me way too long to get, honestly. The new MacBook specs. Yeah, that's a good question. So let's go check that out. About this Mac. So this is the new MacBook specs that I got. It is the M4 Max 16 core, 128 gigs of RAM. Here, let's see, more info. What else? System report. There we go. So it's like 40 GPU cores, 16 core, whatever. Yeah, it's got a 4 terabyte hard drive in it. And here's the graphics, 40 core graphics. It's pretty beastly, man. It was way too expensive, honestly. But, you know, it's an investment. This is what I do for a living. I don't recommend anybody that doesn't do this for a living to buy a computer like this. It's not worth it, 100%. I would just get like an M4 Mac Mini or something. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out how I switch this screen here. I'm just not really good with this whole Ecamm thing. So here we go. Bam. Okay, let me see here. All right, now I'm frozen apparently. You guys can hear me okay though? I don't know what's going on here. I think obviously it's on a new computer, so hey, just checking out my frozen face on here. It's like pretty ridiculous. All right, let's see if we can switch this up. Apparently, I'm just not going to be... here we go. You could just see me frozen on screen. Can you guys hear me, though? Like, that's what I care about. I don't care if the video is working or not. But just let me know if you can hear me. All right, because I'm gonna jump in now. So typically, when I start up a track, I'll use, like, MIDI. I'll jump in, grab a keyboard or something, and let's do this. Let's grab something here. I'll make sure I'm also going out the audio, Ecamm Live, and let's take this down to 64 just because we're gonna punch this bitch. Not literally. Never punch a lady. Unless you are a lady and another lady gets up in your face, then you gotta punch a lady. Okay. Audio's good. All right, cool. Okay, cool. All right, now let me just see if you guys can hear. I'll just pull in like a loop or something so you guys can hear what's going on. Yeah, let's do this. And I just want to see if you guys can actually hear what is playing out of Logic. So let's do this. Convert the file. Bam, bam, bam. All right, you guys let me know if you can hear this. Now remember, this is a brand new computer, so that's why I'm asking you guys to help me out with this test here. So I'm gonna mute my mic. All right, you guys hear that? Okay, is that coming through from Logic Pro? I'm not gonna use that, but just let me know. We're gonna try to figure this out. You guys, is my video is totally frozen, right? Like I'm just on screen with my mouth open looking like a weirdo. What's up, bro? Never been. I ain't never been. I don't know if Instagram is actually streaming or not. So if anyone's from Instagram Live, let me know. I guess I could check on my phone. Sorry, guys. Just testing stuff, you know. Testing stuff out. And maybe it's freezing because I'm on Instagram streaming live. Okay, yeah, meaning you can hear it. Hopefully that's what that means. Logic is 100. You are frozen. Yeah, I know I'm frozen. Let's see if we can... Hey! I think it's just the... I think it's because I'm streaming to... Let me see here. Yeah, I think it's because I'm streaming to Instagram, but who knows? Maybe I can plug and unplug the... Let me give me a second here. Bada binga. All right, we're gonna see. Is that working? We working? We working? Okay, let me see. Don't use that. All right, sorry. Bear with me. Again, this is a brand new computer. That's why I'm doing live stream. I wanted to kind of test it out with you guys. And I could see right away that I have like a docking station that I was plugging my my camera card into. And I don't think that that's going to work. So that's okay. All right, so let's make some music though. All right, so typically when I start out a track, I want to find a vibe. I go up here on the Logic Pro deal here and go custom. And then I like to add a couple things to this. Customize the control bar, and I'll go to low latency monitoring mode, and I'll also select sample rate buffer size. And vari speed is actually really fun as well while you're producing. Just kind of gives you different context and ideas here. And I'll show you that as we go. So at the top of the bar, what I can see now is I can see all my stuff, right? Sample rate, I could see IO buffer size, so I could switch all that right here, which is a really cool addition that they added to Logic Pro 11. And actually, let's switch this to 44.1 and see what everything. Does it crash? You guys can hear me still? We're good. And I don't know, sometimes this Ecamm, like the screen capture software that I'm using, doesn't like 48 when I'm streaming, right? So maybe 44.1 will work better and we won't get all frozen or whatever. All right, so these are kind of the first things I do. I set up my control panel up here, right? Other thing I like to do is I like to right-click here and configure track header, right? And track header components. So what I'm going to do here is I want to show the colors. I want track colors, color bars here. So I like that because as I produce, I think about the final mix and master. I'm constantly producing, recording, mixing, sound designing as I go. And that's why I use Logic Pro, because I like the MIDI, the sampling, all that stuff. But it also works pretty well with audio as well. It's not as good as Pro Tools for audio, but I think it's much better for production, VSTs, etc. So that's why I use Logic Pro for the most part. Okay, so 120, I'm gonna try and like do something in like 115 or so, something kind of groovy. I don't know what I'm gonna do right now. I have no idea, but I'm gonna pick like a keyboard. I'll use like, yeah, I can't even use my presets because none of them are in here. So let's go to AU Instruments. And let's find something that's going to give us some vibes. I like the Sonic Academy, the Anna 2. That's really cool. Cradle Audio, the Prince is really fun. And of course, Omnisphere. Yeah, let's do the Anna 2. Let's just see what we got in here. Anna 2 is a fun synth because it has a lot of different vibes. Like you can go retro with it. You can also go like modern, modern EDM and stuff with it. So I'm using this keyboard down here. It's the Control S61 and it's the Native Instruments one. So I can play stuff. Now I want to find maybe like an analog kind of synth vibe. Let's go here to just keys. I want like some keys, right? Here we go, keys. 7th inning, probably not 7th inning, but let's go bank, ultra, vintage analog. All right, let's check out some of these patches and then we're gonna find a chord progression. That's basically what I'm looking for when I first start producing. I'm like, what can I top line on, right? 2 chord progression, 3 chord progression, 4 chord progression, whatever it is that we're trying to do, right? That's really what I'm trying to find, something that is going to trigger me to want to sing something on top, right? And if I'm talking too much, just let me know. So I kind of like this sound. This is kind of a cool vibe here. And what I might do with something like this is just kind of mess it up, right? So let's go, always tweak the sound at the synth, right, first. So never like, I mean, not never. There's no like always and never in music production or any of this stuff. It's all art. But at the end of the day, like for me personally, I want to tweak here. Like, what are the filters doing? Is there anything in here that I can tweak? And I just think that way because I come from like analog synths and playing keyboards and playing in bands and shit, right? So I want to find stuff that this is doing. So I'm going to tweak kind of the envelopes, the filters, etc. All right, so you can hear like this changes the synth a lot. Now it sounds like kind of synth wave, synth poppy, right? Yo, thank you so much, Tall Bike, my guy. Really appreciate it, man. Every time you guys, hit that super chat and you drop $5 on me or whatever, it's like, okay, now we can stream again in a week or a couple days or whatever, right? So I appreciate it. Appreciate you supporting the channel for sure. And if you guys haven't already, go check out Tall Bike. I just produced a record. Not produced, I actually just mixed and mastered this one. But should definitely check out the latest record that we did. It's called Time and Space, and it's really dope. And he's crushing it already. This is his very first song he's ever released. I mixed and mastered this record. He's at 18,352 streams on it. And already got good monthly listeners going with just one song. So hit the algorithm really hard. You guys definitely tap in with this song. I think you guys would really like it. Especially if you're into like indie, Depeche Mode kind of vibes. This shit is fire. All right, back to the music. Thank you again, Ryan. Appreciate you, bro. Always. All right, so now you can hear like this changes everything, right? Like it puts the mood into something different as well. And I think that that's really powerful when I'm trying to talk about what I usually feel and think when I'm producing, and that's really hard to do, just so you guys know, so bear with me. But this evokes like a different emotion. It's more to me like nostalgic, synth pop, retro kind of sound, right? And if I want to make it like warm and more R&B and shit, I would just cut off. I would just take the filter down, you know what I mean? Like I would try to make it more warm, and then I might make it wider with like a chorus effect or something. So that's kind of how I think about sounds. Like, how does this make me feel? And what kind of chords does it make me play, right? Is it making me play those like minor sevenths, the add nines, the sus4s, etc.? Or is it making me play more major pop kind of stuff, right? And that's what you're doing when, at least what I'm doing, when I'm opening up synths and presets. So like this, for example, would make me play like nostalgic synth pop stuff. It's just the way it is. Like that's the kind of chords that I would play with this. Now I'll open that up and I'll go, cool, that's my synth pop, whatever, right? Like I'll put like a synth pop lead or chords. All right, and then I might duplicate this and go to like Cradle Audio or Omnisphere, right? And just kind of open up a different one and see what else we got, right? Like for example, here's a perfect example. If I opened up the Waterfall B3 organ, you think I'm gonna play the same kind of chords and the same kind of ideas as I would with that synth pop thing? No, absolutely not, right? So when I open up this, I might go, okay, let's open up like a preset on here. I'm just gonna start flipping through some of these organ presets here. Because this organ is really, really good. Like, it's one of my favorites. I actually have replaced any sort of like MIDI organ that I use on any record with this one because it sounds so close to like a real organ. So that's kind of a fun one for like pokey stuff. And then I might go to Splice, you know, just to find like a drum, something to put down here. And I'm just going to type in the search here. I'm going to go to, actually, let's just go to browse. I'm going to find like something maybe disco-y. I don't really know yet. Drift funk. That sounds kind of fun. Indie electronic maybe. Let's try this. Let's go through some drums in here and just find something to play to, because it's kind of like boring and uninspiring to play just chords to nothing for me. So I really like this kick. I think it sounds really nice, pillowy, you know, fun, but also like kind of pop and kind of indie, you know what I'm saying? So I'm going to pop that in there and grab. It's kind of fun too. I like that hi-hat. It's kind of cool. So I'm just going to kind of go through here. Cool loop. So I'm just going to go through here and I'm just going to find some drums that work together, right? So that's what I'm doing. I'll build a kit real quick. Okay, so I like this kick and snare, but I'm not sure I'll stick with them. I'm just like throwing them down. And then maybe something like like some like indie drums. I don't know. I'm just gonna throw in indie drums. I'm looking for like a topper, like some hats or something, right? So let's go indie drums. We'll go to drums. Maybe go hats, and then see what we can find in here. All right, cool. That's pretty straightforward. I like that. Something to play to, right? And that's at 120 BPM. So all we'll do is we'll drag it into Logic Pro and then I'll stretch it. So check it out. We'll go, that's it. Bam, pop it in here and then boom. And then I'm holding down Option and I'm dragging. And now I have like a 4-bar sort of thing. And then I'm going to repeat this out just one time, make like an 8-bar loop here. And then let's start to like program something, you know, just like a kick snare kind of pattern. And sometimes with like the kick snare, you can put it into like a drum kit if you wanted to do that, like where you have like the drum kit where you can go, you know, you can play the drums on the keyboard or whatever. Oh, this is kind of cool too. I like this. Okay, so like this kind of idea where you have something a little bit busier going under a really basic pattern is really fun. And I'll show you what my brain does when I hear that. I'm like this really light kind of thing. It's at 110, so we'll speed this up. Option, click and drag, and now we've stretched it to the 4 bars, right? But on this, maybe we want to add a cool effect, right? Like I don't know if I've installed the Arturia stuff yet, but yeah, I have. Okay, so the Arturia stuff, there's like there's a really cool pedal in here that let me see here. Rotary tape mellify. No. Trying to find it. Just chorus dimension D, bus force. I'll find it. Oh, phaser. Here we go. Phaser, the Bitron pedal. So this is like really good on like basses and stuff and guitars. It really classic pedal. A lot of people use it. But it gives like this like kind of washy thing that happens with it because it's a phaser. And so check this out. What we can do with this kind of hi-hat, I'm just going to solo it out. And I'm going to affect it so it has more movement and sweeps a little bit, right? Oops. No Apple news. I'm good. Okay, that's doing something. This needs to be gained up, I think, a little bit. So we'll just go here and go gain it up like that. All right, and this is just like subtle movement under this other hi-hat. And that's all I'm doing with this. You could also use like Pan Man, do like pan automation or whatever else. But I'm just gonna tuck this like really, really low. And it's just gonna give us more speed. So that might happen like on a chorus. All right, so because this is a new computer, like all of my key commands are funky. I'm not finding my key commands. Record is R, but when I like to record, I like to use asterisk. I don't know why, but yeah, that's how I like to record. All right, I hit Option K to go to my key commands. I don't know if that'll work for you because my key commands are specific to me. And I made a piece of content a while back, like showing some key commands and shit. People were like, why didn't you say the key command? Are you gatekeeping? What's the key command? I'm like, bro, my key commands are not your key commands. So fuck off. Yo, Drew, what's up, man? Yeah, if you guys have any questions along the way, just let me know. I'm just kind of like cooking up something right now, but you know, we'll get there. We'll get to the chords and stuff. I just want to throw down some drums right now. Right, and right away that kick drum doesn't work for me, right? And I think this is a really important ear training exercise. When you play something like this kick drum just feels like completely detached from the track. It doesn't sound right, you know what I mean? It's just not right. So I'm gonna go into indie drums again, and I'm gonna go to kicks, and I'm gonna find the right kick. And I don't think people spend enough time on this. People don't spend enough time on their drums, and it's why like everything sounds so demo-y and so like not right and not pocketed, because they don't take the time to find the right sounds. And that's what I'm gonna do right now. I'm just gonna find the right kick. I want like this like, I want something with more feel, more acoustic feel, not so sampley and so punchy and electronic. Okay, so notice I've grabbed a few kicks, right? Like I'm like, okay, that kick, that kick, that kick. And I'm trying to figure out which kicks would work best together, because the way you program drums is, I think, really good drums. You know, and my first instrument I ever played, like really got into, was drums when I was like 14, 15, something like that. And like kick drums and the timbres and everything that you're doing with a kick drum, it's everything, right? Like it's going to make or break your record. You don't want to take people out of the song, you know, going like, what the fuck is that sound? You know, you want to keep the vibe going. All right, so I'm just going to drag this down and just listen to what this does with a new kick. It's like a different feel, and just feels different. Right? And now that kick doesn't feel powerful enough, right? So that's where compression comes in. When you feel like, oh, the kick's kind of weak, it's not punching, it's not hitting hard enough, or it doesn't feel full enough, what I usually do, the first thing I'll do is just go to parallel compression, right? So parallel compression is the key to thicken anything. This VComp plugin by Audioscape, I think it is. This thing is fucking sick. I love this plugin. Like, I am like obsessed with this compressor. All right, so let's send this 100% to this, and we're going to try to compress about 20 or more dB on this, but make sure that it's not attacking too fast and we're still getting punch, right? So I'm just gonna really hit that, and I'm gonna keep that on vintage, and there's a couple modes here. There's single, there's a few, single, double, and triple mode, and I don't know exactly what that means, but I know that double and triple are just more compression. So it could be a ratio thing. It could be a feedback circuitry. I'm just not sure. But I'm going to take this down just one notch from fast, and we're going to call this P-Comp. Right? You could call it drum P-Comp, whatever you want. But now we're going to send it to some of this and listen to how it thickens up the kick drum. Right now we have like this thick, full thing going on, right? Okay, what is Tall Bike asking? What are you asking here? What new computer Mac Mini M4? What? Maybe use a comma or something. I don't know what you're saying here. Sorry, I'm just like confused by the question because I don't know what you're asking. The new computer that I'm working off right now is the M4 Max, MacBook Pro. And it's pretty snappy, man. Like, so far, I feel pretty good about it. No crashes, just that weird little video pause that was happening, but I think I figured that out with how I got to plug in the camera to a dongle and not a, you know, whatever. Okay, so let's take the kick drum and the drums a little bit further, right? They're pretty boring right now. And that's fine. We just want to get like a chord progression down and stuff. But I do want the kicks to be a little bit more dynamic. So I'm going to duplicate this kick, and I'm going to go back to my splice samples, and I'm going to find a kick that's more punchy and more intense than the one I have. All right, so now I have two kick samples, okay? So I have this one, and I have this one, right? So these are kind of like different. This one has more room in it, and this is where your ear training has to come in, right? Like, this is like a recorded kick drum in a room that's lively. Like, I could just hear it. This one is a really tight, more punchy kind of kick that has some compression to it. Obviously, I'm sending it to parallel compression, so duh, Brad. But this one does as well, right? I'm sending this one to the parallel compression as well. So right here, I want to pay attention to like how you would kick the kick drum if you were playing, right? And when you have these accents that I've thrown in here, which might change, but with the accents, like, you want the timbre to change, right? So let's do this. Let's copy it. Let's open this one. Here, we'll do this. We'll listen here, because listening is the key to all of this. So the duh, right? We want that duh. So obviously the smaller one is going to take over that accent. So we'll do loud, smaller one, loud, right? So we're just going to interchange these. So this is more dynamic of a kick pattern with two kicks. And you might even consider layering the kicks, like these two kicks together, when you're hitting the downbeats, right? So, for example, let's go back, let's undo, and let's keep these exactly how they are. And that should feel like da-da, 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 right? So we want to like kind of get those kind of kick patterns right. So on the smaller one, the softer one, we will keep that one on that accent, so that pickup, and then we'll delete that one on the harder one, right? And that's all I'm doing is like interchanging them so that it's got like that variance. And if you put that variance into your drums will just sound a lot better. They'll sound more real, more live, human, etc. And maybe sometimes you don't want that to be human. You're making trap EDM, fucking, fuck your face, drill your mouth off kind of stuff. Like, that's different. That's different. But this is like, I'm trying to make like an indie disco pop funk. I don't know. I really don't know yet, but something soulful, because that's just kind of my bag. But let's check it out. All right, and then this is also where like the snare drum just gets really boring. It's just like duh, duh, duh. You know what I mean? Like it's just super boring. So what I want to do now is just start layering that up with like even a snare like roll. And I don't mean snare roll. I mean like a ghost note kind of thing. Maybe we go ghost. See if we can find a ghost note kind of thing here. So this is how we make drums a lot more dynamic when we're using samples. You can, of course, use like kits, like XLN Audio has a great one, BFD3, I think it is. Different sample kits are going to have these kind of ghost flammy notes on the snare, where you're just doing drags and stuff, right? These are like just little accents that we can pop in there that are going to make your drum programming. It's going to make your drum programming a lot more dynamic. Just trust me. It'll be like, oh, I never thought of that, but that's how drummers actually play, right? And it also give you a lot more swing and a lot more groove to your drums. So if you feel like your drums are always kind of lacking that swing and that groove and that pocket, that vibe, like this can really help, right? You can also do it with like toms and things like that. But I think that just getting the ghost notes right on this and then layering and like dynamically changing your claps, snare layering, etc. is going to like really make your drums just kind of groove differently and feel better. So like, right, that, turn it down. And then I like this one because it's kind of that, and then this one's got the, right? So we got two different ghost note kind of things going on here, which will be really fun when we're programming. And now we're going to listen like for the ands, like the 1 and 2 and 3 and you could even count in like triplets, 1 and 2 and 2 and 2 and just like listen to where you want that pocket to feel more draggy, more pushing, like push and pull is basically the idea of drums. Right, so now I'm just going to play these kind of ghost notes through here so I can get some like, just more vibe. And that also could be me changing the hi-hats as well, because these hi-hats are really boring. So yeah, just don't get locked into one thing and then be like, this is the thing I have to deal with. Like you could switch things out all the way to the end, even when you're in the mix. Now, the trick to like really making your drums bounce, to me personally, and pocketing them nicely, is not always quantizing perfectly on these ghost note parts, right? Because a real drummer is never going to be like perfectly pocketed, right? So you want to think rush and drag. Like you want to think like sometimes you're going head of the beat, you know, and sometimes you're, you know, sometimes you're swinging back and forth. The push and pull is what makes people want to dance, you know? When you just have bop, cap, bop, cap, bop, cap, like, how do people dance that? That's like some like super old white folk, you know, dying in a hospital kind of shit, you know? And if you're making music like that, good luck. Good luck. I don't think you're going to reach many people, you know? Okay, so here we go. Like, just looking at this, right? This is kind of swung back a little bit. This is a little back. That's a little back. So I naturally was pretty swung back the whole time. And that may be because I'm streaming, right? And I'm getting like this latency. But, you know, just kind of embrace it, I guess. All right, so only one I don't like is this one here, right? So this one felt a little too far back. So let's like bring that up. Let's check that out. I also don't like that I hit the double on the snare here. That didn't feel right. So let's take that off and let's bring this. Velocity is another thing. Like velocity is a huge deal in drums, right? Let's bring this one up a little bit and this one just a little tiny bit up. And then we'll mess around with throwing these ghost notes into the other snare and see how they feel. Yeah, it doesn't feel right to me. So I'm going to mess around with this ghost note here. And we're just going to kind of like loop this and I'm just going to vibe out for a second. Like a lot of drum programming and like ghost noting and stuff is really about like finding that pocket where you almost get mesmerized by the rhythm, right? Trying to get just like a little bit ahead is like really tough sometimes. So let's see what we got here, because I think this is pretty close on some of this. And then sometimes I can, like I'll lock in the quantize, like I'll quantize it, and then I'll pull things back and forward, right? So here, Command A, and I'll go to 16th note, swing B here, and that did not work. I don't think that that's the right one here. So let's go undo. Let's go swing A. Yeah, okay. So now this is quantized, right? And now we can pull ahead and behind on stuff. All right, so that sounds like a pretty good groove. Now let's go into Splice and let's find something more funky. I want funk hi-hats. Like I want breakbeat funk hi-hats at 115, okay? So let's do this. Let's go breakbeat, or just hi-hats actually. Hi-hats, and then we're gonna go to BPM, and I'm literally going to go to like 110. Literally, guys. I don't know why I said that. 110 to 120, right? So a little bit of range to be able to stretch and compress. And then here, I'm going to go to grooves, like one shot. I'm going to go to loops here. And then now we have just loops and grooves. And then we can go in and we can go hats. And then let's go to like, I don't know. I don't want to get too... yeah, funk. Let's go funk. Yeah, let's check it out. Let's see what we got in here. This could be cool. And like, listen to our pocket right now. It's like boom, doom. All right, I want to explain something here because I think this is really important to understand about hi-hat patterns and just drums in general, anything that's rhythmic. As I'm flipping through some of these, you guys might go, yeah, that one would be good. That one would be good. You should use that one, right? So hi-hats are going to do something with your song and the momentum for your track, right? And when I'm thinking about like a 3 to 4 chord progression, I don't want to get stuck in a loop feeling, right? I want things to progress and I want things to evolve with the music. And when I hear this, for example, I think like stagnant and stuck, right? I think like, right? It's like stuck right there. I don't think about forward momentum there. Now, obviously you can get there with like a bass line or whatever playing under that, but I want a hi-hat pattern that has evolution to it. So I'm thinking like, when I think about a hi-hat pattern that has evolution, I think like, you know, something that has like more movement to it and like variations along the way. It's not just going, you know, or it's not going, you know. I think that's like a different feeling. Like that feels like an intro to me. Like, oh yeah, here it comes. Something's coming, you know what I mean? But it doesn't feel like a progression. So I'm trying to find that hi-hat pattern that has a progression and a forward movement to it. So I really like this. I think this sounds really cool. And I think because it's got this kind of like bounce to it as well. So I think it'll really add to what we got here. So I just want to show you A/B, right? So like here's an A/B of, here's this hi-hat pattern, what we had, and then I'm going to A/B the new one and show you just like how different it makes the track feel and the drums feel. Right? Those aren't right, but the groove in the pocket is different, right? Like you, you know, like you hear where the emphasis is in the beat, right? And it's different and it feels different, makes your head nod differently. It's not right still though. Like I'm just not a huge fan of any of these. So let's keep searching here. See how like just the drums can be really musical and like pitched and interesting and melodic and yeah, like all sorts of things. Just the drums. Like if you just make your drums cool, you know what I'm saying? Like just if you spend the time on figuring out where your drums are going to land you with your head bob, you know what I mean? Like, oh, now it's like everything else becomes so easy. I can pop a bass to this so easy. I can play chords to this so simple now, right? Like I can get the pocket and the feel and the vibe right of it. It just feels so much easier when the drums are there, right? So I'm going to, and I'm also like, when I play these, I'm like emphasizing one or the other, right? Like I kind of like this one like down and this one kind of up, but then when I bring this one up, I realize this one doesn't really signature this one as well. So I'm going to try and find maybe it's like a tambourine or something that's going to like, you know, just like a held back, laid back eighth note tambourine sort of thing, right? I'm just trying to find that pocket. And when I find that pocket, I'm going to like know exactly what I want to do on top of everything. And that's what happens with groove for me. Like, especially when you're making funk, pop kind of stuff, like you have to find the groove first. The chord progression's easy. Like, don't worry about that. Don't worry about that shit. Worry about the groove, the drums and the bass. If you get the drums and the bass right and locked, everything else will just come. It'll just be like, oh, this is obvious. Like, so easy. It'll tell you what to do. The track will tell you what to do once you have the drums right. Now we're starting to get somewhere, right? Now I want to add some claps. And I'm just like building up this loop. I want this loop to be really dope, right? And I want it to be like, ooh, that's really got me feeling something, you know? So let's find like some claps here. I think these sound cool because they're like live sounding. And then we'll get something like a little bit more crispy, crunchy on top, you know what I mean? But let's just like kind of start to groove these out a little bit with the snare drum. So put this up here, take the snare, pop it up here. I like my drums to be colored this like brown color. So I'm just gonna like go here, option C, and we're going to color all these like that. And then the tracks as well. Bam. All right. So now I know like those are all drums. And then I know these are synths up here. Usually I like my synths to be this like blue color. So that's what I'm gonna do there. All right, and then, yeah, let's just like kind of mess around with this clap and pocket it in a little bit. And then we can layer up whatever else. All right, I'm just pitching up and down on the claps to just give them a little bit more of a human feel so the loop doesn't start to feel really looped out. Another thing I'm going to try and do, just to make this a little bit more interesting, is I'm going to take this loop through Melodyne. All right, and I'm going to just kind of mess with it with the Melodyne, the effects. Okay, so we're going to transfer this in. And let's play this. All right, so now we got like some like really interesting kind of how'd you get that sound kind of vibe, right? For this as well, I want to maybe mess around with like some, I don't know. I don't know what it is yet, like automation pumping or something with the kick drum. So maybe this kick here. Yeah, maybe this kick here is kick 1, right? And then let's take this guy and let's put like, let's soothe to it. Let's do this trick here where we go, get rid of that. All right, bring this down. Actually, let's keep it full bandwidth like this. And then we'll go turn on the side chain. And we'll do kick 1 here. Why is it not showing up? It's weird. Oh, is it MIDI? That's why. MIDI instrument? Yeah, here we go. Kick 1. All right, so kick 1 on our side chain. We'll go hard on here. We'll do this. Go sharpness like that. Yeah. Let's try this. Yeah, it's not really going to matter because I think the reason this works so well as a groove is that the it's coming up on the upbeat where the kick's not hitting, right? Maybe that's why I like it so much, how it's bouncing. You know what I mean? I didn't even think about that like an idiot. But it's like boom, boom, boom. Bum, 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 bum. You know what I mean? Like it has that bounce, that back and forth. So I don't really need to sidechain it with Soothe. So I'll just turn that off. But now I have that, so I can grab that whenever. All right, now let's start putting some chords down on this because I think it's at a point where it sounds pretty good and pretty groovy, pretty pocketed and everything. One last thing I'll do is I'll just throw this through. I'll throw all of them actually through a drum mix bus. Right, let's just go boom. And then this way we can kind of mix these all together. Drum mix. And this sometimes just like throwing some compression on there is really going to do the trick for you. Or it'll just give you a little glue here. And I do like a Pulsar, yeah, what is it, the Mu? I don't know if I have this like installed yet. Yeah, I do. All right, so like Pulsar Mu is really good for just like gluing everything together for a stereo compression kind of effect on drums. I'm going to kind of just let this just nudge the needle a little bit, if you will. All right, so just a little compression to hold the drums together. And then I also really like to limit the drums. I always love a L1 or L2 right afterwards, and I'll just like pop that on. And then before the L1, we'll just do like a clipper, right? Like I want to use Orange Clip, but I can't show you guys that one because it's on Orange Clip 3 and it's not released yet. So I'm going to find like maybe SIR. Standard Clip's really good. One of my favorite things to do with this is go to the Soft Clip Pro and then go like take this up to like 5% or so. And we'll turn the oversampling off because we're on a bus. And then we'll turn the ceiling on and then we're just going to clip the tops of this. One thing I know for sure is we do not want that bell thing going throughout the whole thing because it would just drive you nuts. You know, like it'd just be absolutely ridiculous. This whole like loop with the boom, bam, bam, boom, because it's too much melody, right? So we're going to bounce this in place real quick. We're going to call this like a perk loop Melodyne, right? And then this way we have that all good with the Melodyne. We'll take the Melodyne off of this one. And we will unmute this, and then we have this one and that one, so we can kind of like, you know, interchange them if we want to, just to give you an idea here. So here is the original loop. Right, it's pretty vibey though, like when you do the Melodyne, like kind of mess it up a little bit, make it feel like a little weird and different. Just has like these harmonics to it. Like you can hear this, like listen to the harmonics that come out. So something fun to do would be like automate this down on the bell sound, right? Like bam, 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 bum, you know, that whole thing, because it's too much rhythm. So just like chop it up, you know, go in here and just chop up the loop. All right, and let's give this like more of a groove by doing some panning, right? So we'll do pan man, and I'm just gonna like kind of pan this back and forth in like eighth notes or quarter notes. Let's find just basic panning, 2 bar wide slow, we'll go 1 bar, and we will. All right, so I'm just like kind of going into it, you know what I'm saying? Sorry if I'm not talking. I'm just kind of like popping down chords and stuff. So the next thing I want to do is just kind of get a vibe for the synth, right? So I'm thinking about layers of synths and ideas behind like what the feel is, right? And I don't like to spend a whole lot of time just like producing and producing and producing like this. I'm just doing this because of the stream, but typically I'll throw down drums and chords and a bass line and I'll just start singing. You know what I mean? Like I want to come up with a concept and an idea right away. And if it's not sticking, then I know I don't have a good chord progression, a good track. Like it's just not worth going further into, right? So right now I'm just kind of like opening up stuff and testing the computer and seeing what's going to crash and what's not going to crash, etc. But here's something that's really cool about Logic Pro 11, obviously, is the ability to have a chord track and the players, right? The AI players, which are really helpful for sketching and coming up with ideas really quick. So, for example, I can make a new bass player here, and let's just create the bass player, and then we could put the chords up in the chord track, which these are not right. It just gave me a default chord progression. It would be really dope if it could like read from the MIDI that I put down, but it's just not, right? So what we'll do here is we'll like look at the chords. I think it's like F sharp minor 7, right? Right? Yeah, so F sharp minor 7, we'll put that in and get all these in here. So we can then see if we could just have like a sketch of a bass player playing something. So I do love that about this technology. And I think like everybody should take advantage of technology because it's going to happen no matter what, whether you like it or not, right? So there's F sharp minor to, looks like a flat, or probably G sharp is how it'll be in this vibe. E6? Doesn't really make sense. E6 is like, yeah, I guess it is an E6. Okay, so we have E6 here. Not sure if that's exactly right, but I'm just going to give this to the chord track so that the bass player could know what notes to play pretty much. And then we have, I'm just like looking at these chords and trying to figure them out. Yeah, G sharp minor 7. Yeah, G sharp minor 7, sure. Okay, pop that in there. G sharp minor 7. And I'll just go through and pop all of these in here. And then this is where you kind of get this powerful thing happening with, I think this is an E. This is just like E sus2 or something. sus4. E sus4, yeah. Kind of emotional chords, right? E sus4. So boom. All right. Now we have the chords in the chord player track. Now the bass player, we'll double click on this and we'll go to like disco funk or something, right? Definitely not pop songwriter. That's not what it is. Indie disco is probably a good start here. Okay, so now we have indie disco, and we'll make the complexity like pretty low, intensity, whatever, doesn't matter. I like to open up the bass player though, and I usually don't like this 60s bass very much. I do like the rock bass because it's like this, you know, Rickenbacker kind of vibe. And then I like to bring up the mutes a little bit. And just, I'll mess around with this as we go, but yeah, let's check out what it did here with the bass player. And I like this, obviously I can tell it's not going to be that cool, but you can also have it follow stuff, right? So if I did want it to follow like the drum groove, which could be really cool, what I would do here is I'd take all the drums, right? All the drums that I'm using, which are all these, and I will highlight all of them. And I'm going to bounce these in place so that I can make a drum track, right? So I'm going to go bounce in place, and I'm going to say for the other tracks, just leave them. I'm going to call this drum mix, right? And then boom. And then I have a drum mix that should have bounced. That should have just bounced stereo. Yeah, the whole groove, right? So now I have the drum groove here. And this is really fun because now I have a drum groove. I can mute it, or I could turn it way, way down. I could even do stuff like compress the hell out of it, right? Go in and smack it with a standard clip, you know what I mean? And just clip the shit out of it and blend it back into the mix, you know, sort of thing. You know, do all sorts of cool shit with it. But I'm not going to worry about that right now. I'm just going to turn this way down. And then I'm going to go to this bass player, double click on it. Hopefully you're following along because this is pretty powerful stuff. I can go in here and I can go follow, and then I'll go to the track and I'll go to drum mix, right? And now I can have this bass player playing to the drum mix, which is really cool. And then we'll bring the intensity up a little, or the complexity up, and we will bring the phrasing to medium and octaves to some, and root will go to some notes on the melody. And then we can kind of like, you know, mess around with some of that stuff. But now we're pocketing to the actual drums, apparently, right? So let's also stretch this out to now 8 bars. And let's just see what the bass player comes up with, what kind of notes are happening, etc. And, you know, if we like it, if we don't like it, if there's some ideas in there, if it's something that we could just like cut vocals to, you know what I mean? All right, so first thing, the tone of it sucks. Like the bass sounds like shit. So let's take everything and give it some headroom. So I'm going to go to all the tracks besides the bass and pull them down like 3 dB, 2 dB, something like that. And then I'm going to go to the master bus because we're going 3 over. I pulled it down 3, like 2.5, something like that. And then I'm just going to throw God Particle on here just so we can get some level and everything like compressing and working together, right? And I usually like to start the God Particle at like 80% or so, and then I'll just try to hit within the box so nothing's going over, and limiting at 5 is fine, but I like to put this output at like -0.3 because I don't like it at 0. It scares me when things are at 0. All right. And now we have like the God Particle giving us some limiting, some harmonics, and that's pretty much it. Right. And with the dance floor now, I had it on low latency, and you see it bypasses a lot of the plugins. I'm going to unbypass those and just see what this is doing. I think it's compressing and choking the bass out a little too much, but we'll check it out. Right, you can hear that it's got some of the wrong notes in there because it's not reading the chords right. So the reason it's doing that is because you have bass notes that are flipped, right? So in, for example, the chord track, and again, I hope you guys are really like paying attention and getting this because this is really, really cool for quickly writing songs and ideas and sketching ideas, right? So I'm going to take this and option drag it so it repeats the chord progression. We will switch some things in here, but just so we're like really clear on this chord progression, the bass player is playing bass notes that are outside of what this chord progression is. And I think it's because it doesn't know what's in the bass, right? So let's hear it. Ba-da-bum-bum. Like, what is that at the end? Like, why is it doing that, right? So it's reading that E sus4 chord, which we should probably feed it some better information than that, because I don't think that this is it is an E sus4 chord, but in this context, it feels like a borrowed chord. It doesn't feel like a sus. It feels like... Let's see what the bass is playing. Some note in there that's really weird. Yeah, and you know, maybe we just need to change that chord so it's not an E sus4. Maybe we need to put in the keys and the progression, switch it up a little bit. Like, this is kind of like where you start to write the song, you know? You're like, what would I sing over that? Because that sounds goofy, you know what I mean? You could also mess around with the fill. Like, let's just go to the fill and take the complexity down. And you'll see it adjusting when you start to mess with it, right? So here, we'll take the fill amount down and the fill complexity, right? And you can see that now it goes down. So let's see if that helps. Yeah, much better, right? But it still feels kind of goofy, the bass line does. And I'm wondering, is it because it is like this disco feel that doesn't feel right with what we got going on. But let's try this. Let's turn off the chords so it's not following chords, whatever that means. And it's only following the drum mix track. See if that helps. Right, so it's doing its thing, and I think that that's really interesting to me. Like, you can just throw a bass on and see what it does, you know what I mean? And for me, like, I'm like, this isn't really the right fit, you know? It doesn't feel right. And I also just maybe think that the chord progression is just not that strong. And this is like how I work constantly, right? I'm like, that chord progression sucks. You know what I'm saying? And I'm wondering if because of the bell sound, it's making me do something that I don't want to be doing, right? So I'm going to mute that. So I don't have so much influence of a melody going already. And so I can just like kind of sketch again with my chord progression. All right, so I'm just testing stuff. What I hear in my head now that I'm like messing around with keys and stuff is I hear more classic instruments like electric guitar is definitely something I hear on this. So I'll probably plug in an electric and I'll just mess around with chords and rhythm and pocketing something there. I also hear like bass line in like a synth bass maybe, you know? So let's try like a synth bass line to start, you know, just to find something that's going to be something we can lay something on top of. Because I feel like now we've based this whole thing off rhythm. I want to like stick to that idea, like really pocket a rhythm idea. So I love taking stuff like just messing it up and having like a almost think of it as like a pedal tone, like idea that sticks under stuff, right? While you have a progression going that counters stuff, like a counter melody kind of thing, right? So for example, you can have this like thing that's like, feels more like 2 chords or something, you know, that just kind of plays like a texture under everything. Even though the bass line's really like has its movement and its progression, the this kind of thing is like countering that progression. So I always think that's really fun, really cool to do. And then I'm gonna add like, try to add like a, you know, some sort of like bouncy kind of organ thing under this. I don't know how I'm gonna do that yet. I'll probably use like, yeah, like some, try some effects on this. Just kind of make it kind of funky, I guess, if you will. Yeah, so this is at the point where like I would just cut some vocals to this and see if it even works. And if it doesn't, I would just throw it out and I'd probably move on to something different. You know, this is kind of like sometimes how I will start a track and I will like be like, I don't like anything about this besides this thing. And then I'll move everything over. Just like I did with this, right? Right, I was like, you know, it's like whatever, move it over. And then I might like take this and go, okay, this was whatever, like it's cool, whatever. I'm gonna just move it over here. But I do like, I liked the drums I did, right? Like I really liked these, but maybe, you know, I'll just take like little sections of stuff that I really liked. Because sometimes you're just sketching, you know, you're just like, I'm just coming up with ideas and I want to find something that sticks. And if nothing's sticking, there's no reason for you to go chase it down and like spend hours on it. You know what I mean? So I'm going to take all that and maybe get rid of, you know, everything that I think is lame or whatever, and then start over. Right? This feels cooler to me, right? But sometimes it takes that, like you're sketching, and then you're like, oh, this is dope. I like this vibe, right? And I hear like a falsetto vocal kind of vibe going on it, you know? You know, I hear like a melody comes to my head right away with that. So this is just kind of part of how I produce. Obviously, I'm showing you guys like I haven't had any issues so far with the new computer, which is really dope, because usually you think I'm going to install all this stuff and then like it's all going to go to hell, right? But this is actually on the latest, Sequoia 15.2. It's not even on the latest Sequoia, but it's on 15.2 and seems to be stable. All my plugins are working great. It's pretty snappy. You know, I'm actually just shot a full YouTube video on comparing the M1 Max to the M4 Max. And so hopefully you guys will really like that. You'll get something out of it. And it's all based on music production, recording, mixing, mastering with these two machines and the differences. The M1 Max I have is 10 core and it's 64 gigs of RAM and 2 terabytes hard drive. And this new one is the M4 Max with 4 terabytes, 128 gigs of RAM. And they're just different machines. They're like, you know, very different. But I did a whole video on comparing them with different, you know, mixing and mastering, producing in Logic, etc. So hopefully you guys get a lot out of that. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. You know, if there's there's 11 people on here right now still, which is crazy because I've been streaming for almost 2 hours, which is insane. And I haven't come up with anything good here. But, you know, hopefully you guys got something out of it, right? Like you saw some plugins, you see some workflow with drums and everything. And I'll try to do more live streams. Make sure you support the channel. Just subscribe, hit the like button, you know, like whatever you can. Drop some love in the comments. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.